Volia començar agraint que avui de matí tot ha anat un poc d'aquella manera i no he tingut ni siquiera temps d'agrair a la gent que enguany ha fet possible aquest acte i també agrair a la gent que els darrers 10 anys, perquè enguany celebrem 10 anys de Terra, Ànima i Societat. D'aquesta trobada que varen començar l'any 2004 a Mancó amb una xerrada d'en Satiix que el títol era de la xerrada La nova educació. I durant aquests 10 anys aquesta trobada ha estat possible sobretot pels voluntaris, que sempre hi ha hagut un munt d'activistes, de voluntaris que han fet possible que això se fes, juntament amb gent que ha aportat d'una manera privada, que ha fet donacions perquè això fos possible. Des del primer any mai han tingut cap ajuda institucional. Per tant, tinc que dir que fins fa 4 anys que vàrem contactar amb el govern, el govern el que ha fet durant aquests 4 anys és una cosa molt valuosa per nosaltres. No ens ha donat dobbers, però el que sí que ha fet és posar-nos en contacte amb vosaltres i fer possible que avui estigueu aquí. I això jo ja li vaig agrair la primera vegada en el primer govern i llavors durant aquests 3 anys també aquest esforç que han fet a través de la pàgina web convidar-vos i llavors posar els vídeos que feim de la trobada també a la seva pàgina i que la gent estigui en contacte. Per tant, jo agraeixo de veritat a la Conselleria d'Educació i especialment a unes persones, perquè al final jo no conec el govern, conec en Rafael Maura i en Marco Saoner, que són els que realment he tingut el contacte i m'han ajudat a que tot això sigui possible. A part d'ells, també vull donar un agraïment molt especial a en Llorenç Fluixà i la seva família perquè ens han donat un apoyo incondicional durant aquests darrers 10 anys. Perquè fer tot això és realment un esforç enorme, sobretot d'una aquesta gent i moure, per exemple, tota aquesta pantalla i tots els altaveus i tot el que veus, els mitjans tècnics, són possibles perquè AICO, aquesta empresa, d'una manera solidària apoya aquest acte. I així, Caixa Colònia també ens fa una donació i a l'octubre passat varen decidir crear una fundació per veure si podríem connectar amb més gent i fer també connectar amb gent de fora perquè puguem tenir el màxim de recursos per poder apoyar l'educació en aquestes illes. Tots els dobbers que anem recollint van en el 100%, inclús recursos a través de projectes de negoci que estem fent. Ara, a final d'enguany, presentarem un projecte que se diu Camí de Lluc, que és un projecte de peregrinatge. Han recuperat els camins, 7 camins que conflueixen a Lluc, Lucus, bosc sagrat, i aquest projecte l'hem fet per recollir, generar recursos per poder ajudar a les escoles, per poder ajudar a professors, per poder ajudar a la formació, etc. Per tant, Aquest agraïment és per moltíssima gent que ha participat i que segueix participant, i enguany, una altra vegada, Caixa Colònia i la família Fluixà i AICO i tots els voluntaris, aquests 22 voluntaris que veus, més altra gent que indirectament ens ajuda, fa possible que puguem fer aquest acte i que puguem fer moltes coses més. Enguany també hem fet possible traduir un llibre d'en Satish Kumar, editat per Kairos, que és un llibre que coincideix, curiosament, amb aquests 10 anys de Terra, Ànima i Societat. És un llibre que vos recomano i és un bon resum de tota d'aquesta trilogia, aquesta visió que té en Satish Kumar de la vida. També vos vull mostrar un infograma de lo que hem fet enguany a la Fundació Educació per la Vida. Hem estat apoyant a l'escola Kumar. Igual molta gent encara no ho sap, que a l'octubre passat vàrem obrir una escola que es diu Escola Kumar, en son nom d'en Satish, que trobareu una mica d'explicació de lo que és aquesta escola en aquest dossier que m'imagino que quasi tothom, que tots teniu, i que a més també enviarem, hem editat 2.000 exemplars per enviar també a les escoles i a més gent. Aquesta escola Kumar vol ser un experiment, és un experiment de lo que per nosaltres hauria de ser la nova universitat, que diria que quasi no té res a veure amb la universitat que tenim actualment. I ara no vull explicar en profunditat perquè no tenim temps, però realment és una visió radical, o sigui, radical, anar a les arrels de lo que hauria de ser una universitat. És a dir, quan els al·lots acaben secundari, a on van aquests al·lots? A la universitat, aquesta universitat que ara tenim, aquí a Palma, o la de Barcelona, o la de Harvard. Aquestes universitats estan obsoletes. Els seus coneixements ja no són suficients. Podem millorar moltíssim, a tots els nivells. Per tant, hem de trobar solucions. De la mateixa manera que a Mallorca ja hi ha, que en aquest dossier també veureu, un parell d'exemples ja independentment del que fan a les escoles públiques i professors a dins les aules, hi ha ja mitja dotzena d'escoles amb un edifici de lo que dèiem aquesta nova educació, que és el que dèiem antes, nosaltres li dèiem holística i que cada un li digui el que vulgui, però és aquesta educació que ja té una altra manera de fer i de pensar, però sobretot de sentir. I un exemple que nosaltres considerem i que hem apoyat des del primer moment, un exemple que jo vos recomano a tots que el visiteu i que vegeu el que estan fent allà. De totes formes, en aquest dossier també està amplificada la informació perquè ho conegueu, el que s'està fent a l'escola La Llavor de Mancor, a nivell infantil, primari i secundari. Molts de professors me diuen però és que no m'interessa perquè és una escola privada. L'esperit d'aquesta escola és un esperit d'escola pública. Però si aquest experiment de l'escola La Llavor hagués començat a dins l'escola pública, no hagués pogut ser. Per tant, ells van prendre la decisió que fos una escola, jo no diria privada, és una escola independent. I és una escola on s'ha experimentat aquesta educació holística. I, a més, estan fent, com ja sabeu, un curs de formació per professors. Per tant, estem apoyant aquesta escola La Llavor amb infantil, primari i secundari, però llavors aquests al·lots quan vulguin sortir d'allà, han de trobar un altre lloc diferent a lo que és la universitat actual. Per això, l'escola Kumar anirà per aquí, a investigar, a veure. De fet, ja han començat una sèrie d'idees, els que vulgueu esteu convidats a compartir el que ja s'ha començat a fer, sobretot a nivell de permacultura. I això ha de ser aquesta experiència que cada any han d'anar veient, a veure com va evolucionant. Llavors, hi ha el grup Ecoliteracy, que enguany tenim en Espara, juntament amb en Fritjof Capra, que ens ha introduït, i el govern ha posat en marxa un projecte, que demà veureu un vídeo, un projecte que se diu de la Terra al currículum, que hi ha 7 o 8, hi ha 6 escoles que l'han posat en marxa i ha nascut precisament d'aquest grup de feina que des de fa 3 anys, a través d'en Fritjof, el varen posar en marxa. És un grup de feina que reuneix a professors de la universitat, de la Conselleria d'Educació i de poc a poc, i ens reunim una vegada més i anem fent camí. Llavors també aquí la trobada de Terra, Ànima i Societat, que és aquesta trobada, aquest fòrum internacional que feim aquí, de compartir amb gent de fora i amb gent de Mallorca aquesta visió i aquest exemple duit a la pràctica, perquè sempre el que se tracta és de veure exemples que ens mostrin aquests nous camins. I llavors hi ha aquest projecte de les marjades, que demà veurem un vídeo que han duit la gent que l'ha posat en marxa, que nosaltres hem estat en el seu costat, perquè per nosaltres és importantíssim, i de fet, quan me va telefonar un polític per dir-me de la conselleria, per dir-me fa uns mesos, ja antes de l'estiu, que havien aprovat la primera escola pública a Mallorca amb aquesta nova educació, jo li vaig dir que era la millor notícia que m'ho podria donar. Per què no s'ha posat en marxa encara aquesta escola? Perquè hi ha un mal que tots coneixem, un dels mals que hi ha a dins l'educació en aquestes illes, i no només en aquestes illes, és per tot, és aquesta burocràcia tan absurda que patim tots. El primer, ells. I llavors, els professors, les escoles, tothom. Per aquesta burocràcia, aquesta escola no ha començat a l'octubre, però el projecte està aprovat i esperam, i estic segur, perquè sé que hi ha molt bona intenció de dur-lo el més prep possible, de posar-lo en marxa, i això jo crec que és una porta perquè llavors comencem a poc a que hi hagi més escoles públiques, evidentment. I llavors, enguany han volgut celebrar aquests 10 anys amb un dossier que simplement és una llavor que hem volgut compartir amb vosaltres de lo que nosaltres, de la visió que tenim d'aquesta educació que, per definir-ho en 2 frases, seria una educació que, a part de fer, a part de dur el que veiem, el que tocam, també ha de dur el que sentim, el que no veiem. És a dir, ser. Qui som? Quin és el sentit de la vida? I hem de dur sabidoria, saviesa, millor dit, hem de dur la saviesa i hem de dur l'amor, el que dèiem antes, en el nivell més alt, i això ha d'entrar a dins les escoles. Amb una paraula, la consciència. entendre què és la consciència i la importància crucial i fonamental, perquè això serà el canvi. El canvi que hi haurà dins l'educació, el gran canvi, serà quan duguem la consciència a les escoles, quan el mestre estigui en consciència en els al·lots i permeti que els al·lots siguin. I ara ja continuem el programa d'avui del capvespre, primer amb en Patx i llavors amb en Satish, i en el final, després de la xerrada d'en Satish, li farem un petit homenatge. Per tant, aquesta vegada sense moure'm-nos a de fora, aquí de dins molt mourem. Convidam en Patx Adams.
I feed off you, so if I see you, I have a better meal. Great. Normally, when I do the love strategy workshop, I do it all the way through because I don't do well with breaks. I have a little less time than I normally have. Normally, I would give time for people to say something about if there was something about the exercises that was important or interesting to them. Does anyone want to say something? It was beautiful. Thank you. Okay, that makes it easy. How I then divide it up is I first give an argument why I do the workshop. Then I give a pep talk for love, yay love, giving you an idea of some things I love. Then I show a couple of films, and then I throw it open or give you a couple of strategies, and then see if there's time for questions. I didn't tell you earlier, I told the people last night, but I think you're a lot of different people. I answer all my mail. My address is on patchadams.org. Don't send me an email. I've never used a computer. I don't know how to use a computer, and I don't have an iPhone. You actually have to learn to write a letter. It needs to be in English, and the return address needs to be very clear. I've never not answered a letter, so if you don't get an answer within a month, then please write me again. I have never not answered a letter. But post offices are not perfect. And if I can't read your return address, it may go to somewhere. So if you need a friend or you have ideas no one will talk with you about, or you just want to argue things, whatever it is, there's one letter I don't answer, and that's for an autograph. But you can get my letter back, cut off the letter, and keep the signature if you want. I started this workshop after the event in the United States called 9/11, when the Twin Towers fell in New York City. My country is the #1 mass murdering terrorist nation. I am embarrassed to be from there. And I know that it loves war. It has invaded countries 200 times since World War II. And so I know they loved 9/11. It's good business. And right away that morning, I hear them call for war. And so, since I don't like war, many times I called up CNN saying, "Hello, this is Patch Adams, the famous guy. Can I come on the television and talk about a love strategy?" And I called many times because I don't discourage easily. And every time I called, CNN said no one would be interested. I did point out that their English was incorrect, that since I was interested, they have to say almost no one was interested. But the truth was, I don't have any friends that want war. I would be a friend of a person who wants war, but I don't have any. So I know a lot of people don't want war, but I didn't see anything on our television that tried to say, can we think of what love would do with this situation? And so I decided to make this workshop. What is your love strategy? It's really important when you disagree that you try to walk in their shoes. If people want war in this situation, so when they tell me no one would be interested, I tried to think, what do I know about history and life that might reinforce their thinking? And they say 30,000 children die of starvation every day in a world of an abundance of food. They say no country was ever safe to its women, that 20 to 50 million men every day have sex with a child in sexual slavery, that there has never been a peacetime. So maybe CNN is right. No one would be interested. How are we taking care of nature? In my study of nature, nothing is really going very well. We are destroying our water, our oceans, our soil, our biodiversity. We are destroying our nature. And so maybe CNN is right. No one would be interested. And I imagine in this amazing and wonderful universe, our galaxy is one of 100 million stars, and our galaxy is one of millions of billions. So let's imagine there's another planet out there with something like people to make it easier, and that their planet is like ours, where most people would say loving is the most important thing in life. And that they hear of Earth as a planet that thinks most people think love is the most important thing in life, and that they send graduate students from this planet because everyone wants to hear if there's a way of loving that they haven't tried. So they send the graduate students to Earth to study Earth for a year to see what do Earth people love so much that love is the most important thing in life. And so they study Earth for a year, and they go back and they write up their papers, and they say, it's kind of weird, but on Earth, they love money and power over other people. Of course, they fail because their teachers think of all the things that people could love. They can't imagine that anyone would love those things. And that's why I do this workshop. I love love. And I want a different world than that. And so, you're stuck with me, ha ha. So now a pep talk for love, yay love! And you say, yay love! Yay love! Woo! Love! Yeah! Love is so big that even if there's never been peace, even if there has never been a thoughtful class on love in public school, K through 12, even 1 hour, and that no medical school teaches compassion, and that there's never been a love time on earth, we still vote it the most important thing in life. Yay, love, baby. Yeah. So this segment is about the bigness of love from a biased point of view. And I want to start with the bigness of love by showing you this lemon. I want you to love this lemon. Ooh. Let's look at the other side. Ah. Are you loving this lemon? Let's look at the ends. Ah, nice. Okay, the other end. Ah. You're loving the lemon? Okay, I want you to think, I'm going to write a poem about that lemon. So just think of a poem you would write to this lemon, a lemon. Okay, hold that poem. And now I'm going to recite you a poem written by the most read poet of the 20th century, Pablo Neruda, a Chilean poet from Chile who won the Nobel Prize. This is his poem, A Lemon. Notice he did not say the lemon. And you will have his original Spanish read to you in your ear. I hope it's as good as the English. Out of lemon flowers loosed on the moonlight, love's lashed and insatiable essences, sodden with fragrance, the lemon tree's yellow emerges. The lemon moves down from the tree's planetarium. Delicate merchandise. The harbors are big with it. Bazaars for the light and the barbarous gold. We open the halves of a miracle, and a clotting of acids brims into the starry divisions. Creation's original juices, irreducible, changeless, alive. So the freshness lives on in the lemon, in the sweet-smelling house of the rind, in proportions arcane and acerb. Cutting the lemon, the knife leaves a little cathedral, all coves unguessed by the eye that open acidulous glass to the light. Topazes riding the droplets, altars, aromatic facades. So, while the hand holds the cut of a lemon, half a world on a trencher, the gold of the universe wells to your touch, a cup, yellow with miracles, a breast and a nipple perfuming the earth, a flashing made fruitage, the diminutive fire of a planet. Is that what you were thinking? A lemon. I'm going to tell you 7 things I love. It's not a complete list, but it sure owns my life. The first thing on that list is what I would call the platform from which I launch my life. I love people. When I tell you I answer all my mail, I do it for me. I will go home after 10 days, I will have a big stack of mail, and after hugging and kissing Susan, the first thing I do is go to that stack of mail. I read every letter. I put it in the order that I need to answer them in. I do it for me. It's like opening up a treasure, a buried treasure, and each one of the letters different. From men on death row in the United States who are going to be executed, 10-year-old girls who talk about their father raping them, curious people for all kinds of curious things. I love it. If you knew about my medical practice, everything I do is free, and my first interview with a patient is 4 hours long in my home. I invite them to stay for dinner. I do it for me. Medicine is like a trick, you understand, that you say you're a doctor, and they'll tell you everything on the first date. In fact, they'll usually tell me, I've never told people these things, and they take off their clothes. I do it for me. This is my spiritual life. This is my God, is other person, people, friends. I love them. I really am held up by them. I have no suffering because I have friends. Okay, next thing on my list. Yea, love. Yeah, love. Ooh, baby. This next thing I love, it's kind of that umbrella that includes everything you love in life. And that is that I love life. I am happy to be alive. I can't believe the opportunities one can have in that experience called life. There's an insect called the mayfly that lives 18 hours. That's it. I imagine if it was a human, it would be doing 1759, 1758. Everything you've ever loved in your experience of living is under that umbrella of I love life. To jump out of bed in the morning into it and know that every day is going to have a mystery. Something you never thought of or never experienced, a person, and it has all the things you remember and all the threads that weave through your life, your partners, your children, your projects. I love those things. I would not dare insult living by having a bad day. It is so full and rich to have that opportunity. I'm going to go through these things fast because I have shorter time. I will give fewer stories. A third thing on my list of things I love is something that this few days are about, and that is I love nature. Being a very strange boy growing up and not being comfortable with anything that men did, I never did sports. I never was in fights. I was beaten up, but I was never hitting back. And I just didn't know where I fit in. So I did I didn't grow up with television, and I went outside. At least in the 50s, I think you had breakfast and you went outside because there were a lot of rules at home. But out there in the woods, no rules. You know, David mentioned this morning with the nature deficit disorder. Children today, many of them have never climbed a tree. I lived in trees. I went out and first I did it as an innocent, where whatever was there in plants or animal world, I didn't know much about them. But by the time I hit middle school, I was taking a microscope and a magnifying glass. And by high school, I was reading books on nature because as much as I liked simply being present there, my lustful inquiry made me really curious. Wow, that the respiratory chemical for animals is hemoglobin and for plants is chlorophyll, and that biochemically they're almost the same. So for a fun afternoon, you can say, what if it was switched and hemoglobin was green and chlorophyll was red? And you can go through the day picturing a red hill, a hill of trees, and kind of greenish people. I do that stuff. That I mean, if you think about people's love of nature, you'll notice that, at least in the United States, I think people love their pets more than they know how to love a person. Maybe because they don't talk back, except in their language. So that the money invested and the love invested in a pet is gigantic and so powerful a medicine. And people bring plants inside. Much easier pets and plants than people. They'll have a few select people they bring inside, but it's so easy for them to be this animal or plant that they can't really communicate with except in an invented language. And I'm a cat person, you know. Some people are cat and dog people, or dog only, or something. There's something about a dog and how easy it is that they obey that has made me a cat lover, maybe because I disobey a lot like a cat does. I'm a family doctor who never gave a psychiatric diagnosis or medicine. I would take people outside and who were stressed and troubled in some way and have them lay down in the grass and look up at the sky and say, go ah, ah. No, go ah, ah. And take them into the world of nature and try to introduce them to nature's psychotherapy. And I say that demeaning nature by adding the word psychotherapy. But we're an animal. I'm sorry, okay? You can think you're a creature of God and maybe even a special one. Often humans have thought that. But you're one of the species. And 99+% of the animals and plants that have visited this earth are extinct. So there's a good chance we're a temporary species. Are we having fun yet? And isn't it great that I'm 69, so I've had 69 years of all this luscious life. Oh boy. I would actually say that how you know you have a connection with nature is that you cannot suffer. You know nature is there as your friend. That you know and can count on a tree to love you. I mean, I think in a way this is what you were talking about this morning, David, is that there is an empowerment from suddenly going, hey, I'm one of you. Quadruped, primate. My first costume was a gorilla. I'm friends with Jane Goodall. I've traveled with her. I love primates. Relatives, you know, they're so much fun. One time I flew to Russia. This was before 9/11, in my gorilla costume with bananas and no passport. They let me in. You know that the nature world is there to give you kisses. They're blowing you little kisses. And I'm sorry, I love insects. First off, they've been around for a while, okay? We're new to the club. But 500 million years of evolution have made insects to be one of the strangest looking things you've ever seen. That if you think you've seen it all, until you get a big atlas of insects and just turn the page, it's hard to imagine how weird the design of life has been. Insects with eyeballs on stalks, 3 times the length of their body. Strange. They think we're strange, okay? So, you know, a lot of people don't know this about Darwin. Darwin was a big cheese. He kind of shook up the world with his thoughts on evolution. His passion was barnacles, okay? When he had written his Origin of Species, he kind of put it on the shelf because he was really working on a book with barnacles. Now, I don't know what that is in Catalan, but I'll tell you what a barnacle is, okay? Take your hand like this and do this, okay? This is the life of a barnacle, okay? The wave comes in, it splashes. That's it. The life of a barnacle. Why don't we do that, okay? Make your barnacle, because barnacles like to group together. So put up your hand, one hand like this, okay? This is the barnacle, and this is the barnacle's body, okay? You're going to experience the entire life of a barnacle. The wave comes in, it splashes. Yum. A day in the life. In those days, they didn't have iPhones. He wrote all over the world and collected barnacle samples. And he's interested in an animal that glues itself to a rock where waves break.
Darwin also was interested in earthworms.
Earthworms, yes, he was. And another incredible, playful animal. You know, just seeing how earthworms do it is interesting. Nature is your friend. It is larger. You cannot, in 100 lifetimes, begin to get the full picture. One of the things I like, if you haven't studied nature, is that it took 1,000 million years of design to practice getting the cell down. Before it went to 2 cells, nature spent 1,000 million years of evolution because it wanted the cell to really get it together. But life on Earth, on the land, is about 500 million years old. And so all animals and plants that have lived on land evolved in the half the time it took one cell to kind of get its act together. And humans think they know the cell. It's adorable. Almost nothing I studied in medical school do they still hold true. They've changed everything as they know more. Yay, life! Ooh, baby! Ooh, nature. Okay. If we say that God, metaphorically at least, created nature, number 4 on my list, what have humans created that stands up to nature and say, we're that big? You're right. It's the arts. The visual arts, the dancing arts, the musical arts, theater arts, movie arts, architectural arts. I love it when they say the art of life. I love them all. As I was discovering nature and how it was my friend and nurtured me, I was discovering how the arts nurtured me. In the U.S., they call me a nerd. You know, I'm a nerd. I study things. And I love them all. My partner Susan and I study tango. That the main reason I've stayed in shape aerobically is because in the 50s I heard Chuck Berry. I danced in person to Chuck Berry. You know, Johnny Be Good became my anthem. And I loved it, and it was impetus to push me to do regular aerobic exercise so that at 69, I can do a lot of dancing to Chuck Berry. The visual arts, I've painted, built things, but all of the arts make me drunk. I love literature. It's probably the greatest gift I give to myself is that I've read gigantic quantities of literature from all over the world. And so I know 4 hours of poetry by heart because when I think as a doctor and I want to say something, I go, damn, this poem really says it. And we will check that out later, as the poem about the lemon said a lot. I love that. But in medicine, the thing I've used a huge amount is music. I know probably 1,500 songs because, people are brokenhearted. I was dealing with that last night. People are brokenhearted, they kill themselves, they drink a lot. And so, thank God, at least in the U.S., we have country western music. We've got Hank Williams. So you come in to me as a man and your heart is broken, I'll sing you Hank Williams. Born to lose, I've lived my life in vain. Every dream has only brought me pain. All my life I've always been so blue, born to lose, and now I'm losing you. So Hank Williams makes you feel great as a loser. I'm a loser, isn't that great? And of course, you women have Tammy Wynette. Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one man. Stand by your man, he's given all the love he can. That's right, your man's given all the love he can. He beats you 3 times a month. He screws your sister, steals your money. Stand by him. That song will help. You'll find me waiting here in apartment number 9. Loneliness surrounds me without your arms around me. The arts, they're there for you. Just sit in your misery and you are ready to live. And that's the power of the arts. I have lived in the musical arts. In the 50s, I spent what little money I had in high school to go sit for $5 and listen to John Coltrane all night. In Washington, D.C., I heard most of the giants of jazz in that period of time, and it was really cheap. And I'm sure in the period of my life when I was thinking about killing myself, that jazz probably was the thing that held me up the most. And that as I moved into activism and was trying to think of really working for peace and justice, that's when classical music really took my body over. And that I would think to these pieces of music, and boy, did the ideas flow. It was almost like it was a button for the brain. The arts. If you come to our hospital, we're going to have 4 libraries, a fully modern stage. Theater will always be going on. We'll have our own orchestra. Dancing will be going on all the time. I said last night that we tricked people who don't want to exercise into doing aerobics by having 3 all-night dance parties a week. We weren't aerobics, we were partying. Number 5 on my list is often not thought of as something one loves. You rarely hear a person say, I love it. I love it. I love thinking. Oh, You know, if there's anything that says there's a solution, it's thinking. That you can take whatever it is, no matter how impossible it seems, and thinking can take you there. I actually think that most everything comes from thinking, that if you're good at loving, it's probably really that you're good at thinking. I think evolutionarily speaking, that thinking evolved as an instrument to help make healthy groupness, that as we evolved as primates, and groupness, the kind of life that primates have of our ancestors for millions of years, 80 million years in fact, that the mind or the brain was expanding and that it needed, and if you've ever tried to live communally or as a group, it's complicated. Okay, it's hard enough to love yourself or to be in a great love relationship with a partner, but to try to do it with a commune is really complicated, and I think that's why thinking evolved. In the same way, I think that's where love evolved. And humor, because it's really complicated for a group of people to be harmonious together, but it can work with thinking and love and humor. Some of you, or maybe many of you have heard, I'm in love. I'm in love with Susan Parenti. I say that I think she's the smartest person I ever met. So many astounding talents, and I feel that every conversation I've had with her in 23 years has made me a more dangerous and exploring person. That if a hot date for us is ideas. And you never need to think, I can't do it, if you're thinking. Thinking would never dare say there's nothing to do. And you can hone your thinking in such a way that you can bring it, as you can bring love to every activity, you can bring thinking to every activity, and it will make it wiser. Of course, in evolving into an instrument to make healthy groupness, it doesn't mean that's what it's used for. And it has been used for very dangerous things. And Susan introduced me to this idea many years ago that thinking would never come to the conclusion to do harm. You can do harm, but it's not going to come from thinking. And ever since she said that, I've totally got it. That my thinking would never come to the conclusion to do harm. I think one could use their brain to come to the conclusion to do harm, but I would not call that thinking. So I love it. You know, I don't worry about being able to tackle something because I have a brain. In the same reason that if I lose thinking, if I got Alzheimer's and I cannot recognize my children, my friends are giving me the happy drink because I don't think I'm alive then. Each one makes those choices. But if I cannot recognize my family, I'm dead. And I'm also a pain in the butt to take care of. So give me the happy drink. I love thinking. And one may wonder, how did Nelson Mandela stay in prison for almost 28 years and not come out hating Whitey? In fact, when he toured the U.S. after he came out of prison, the newscasters were constantly wanting him to talk hate. And he talked ending apartheid. He didn't talk hate. And one wonders what would they do with 28 years in a racist country in prison, how could they keep their equanimitas? I'm going to say thinking was there. Not as the only thing, but even if you have the decision to think or to decide on spirit, I'm going to say that it was thinking that got you to decide on spirit. Okay. Number 6 on my list is love in action. When we closed our hospital in 1984, in order to try to raise the funds to build an actual hospital, before a year was out, I was seeing that I missed caring for people, that it wasn't a job for me, that I need to do active care. So I started to make sure people knew to write me letters if they needed a friend. But it's then when we started our clown trips, first to go to Soviet Union, because we thought basic peace work is to love your enemy, and that we went to war zones and refugee camps and to horror, huge amount of horror. And I need to do it. I need to care. I need to actively care for people. So when I go to a hospital, as a clown, I say, please show me who is suffering the most. Not because I think I know a solution, but because I know I can be present and see what happens, and that I don't have a success-failure model in my head. I need to do care. And that there are few experiences in my life that have given me the jolt of electricity of being present. And if lucky enough to ease suffering, that's great. It's really no different than when you walk on an elevator and you read the vibration of the person on the elevator that they're hurting, and that you decide to go up to them and engage. I'm an engager. I love it. It never hurts me. And I think it's really how my mom treated me, and so it's just a continuation of that. And the last thing on my list is the thing that often is associated with the idea of love, if at all in our society, and that is the love of romance. And I love Susan Parenti, an Italian woman. I feel like the luckiest man in history. I feel that every day for 23 years we have electrified each other in that love. We're very different. I'm an extreme extrovert. She's an extreme introvert. And yet everything that is important for us overlaps. I know that if I was unkind at all, she would leave me. She doesn't stick around. And I feel through her brilliance that every conversation I've had has made me a more valuable person. Half of the 4 hours of poetry I know are love poems, and so that I can say something to her. And a lot of times you read love poems and you think maybe they're an exaggeration, and I would actually say they're an understatement. And I know I didn't. I'm gonna do a love poem. I'm sorry. Don't try to translate it. It's a short sonnet, but I've really edited a huge amount of what I normally say, and it's hard to edit Pablo Neruda's love poems. You heard his poem about a lemon. He wrote 100 love sonnets to his third wife, Matilda, and this is number 16. And even if you don't understand English and they don't try to translate it, maybe you'll get the feeling. I love the handful of the earth you are. Because of its meadows, vast as a planet, I have no other star. You are my replica of the multiplying universe. Your wide eyes are the only light I know from extinguished constellations. Your skin throbs like a streak of a meteor through rain. Your hips were that much of the moon for me, your deep mouth and its delights, that much sun. Your heart, fiery with its long red rays, was that much ardent light like honey in the shade. So I pass across your burning form, kissing you, compact and planetary, my dove, my globe. He liked her. Okay, so those are some 7 things that I love. Yay, love! Yay, love, baby. Oh. Yes, yay, love. Okay, now I want to show you a couple of films. The first film is from Arequipa, Peru. We've been going to Peru for a long time. And I love to clown in institutions. I've clowned every day for 51 years. And 30 years ago, I decided to only wear clown clothes. And I do love going to hospitals and prisons and nursing homes, institutions. But a lot of the clowning I do is out in public. I love the commons. I love to go out where people are and play. And this is what this scene is from. It's in a park in Arequipa. When I clown, I'm looking for suffering. Suffering has faces. As you read faces and body language, you can get a sense of, in many cases, of where the suffering is. And so I was in this park, and I noticed a young woman in a wheelchair whose face was on her knees. And I wonder why. Why on a beautiful day in a Latin American park? This isn't Scandinavia. This is a Latin American park with so much life in it. And in the 20 minutes I observed her face stayed on her knees. And so I did a differential diagnosis. Maybe she's sleeping. Too many pisco sours the night before, if you know Peru. Unlikely. She could be frozen in that position. I've been in many institutions for people who are orthopedically disabled and have seen body shapes that I never believed existed. But I was sure it was a third reason. And it has to do with how much people want to be noticed, how much people want to actually be a part of something, and yet there are certain handicaps to that. And if you look at the way the world looks at the idea of beauty, the advertising agencies that David was talking about this morning, they invent a very narrow line of beauty that is supposed to make women frightened of aging by the age of 30. And that beauty is a multi-billion dollar a year industry. Anorexia, bulimia, these are beauty issues. Botox injections, facelifts, multi-billion dollars, because beauty has a narrow definition. It's amazing how often you'll have a patient that by society standards would be called incredibly beautiful, but they don't think they're beautiful, so it doesn't matter. It matters to them, and it hurts them. So when I was a medical student and became a doctor, I was wondering, if beauty has so much of a power in our society, what is it like to be hideously ugly? And if you're wondering what I mean acne vulgaris, accidents, burns, children who have their noses and chins and lips burnt off and have alligator skin, physical deformities. And so when I had this patient, I would ask them, what is it like to be hideously ugly? It sounds like a horrible thing to ask. But what I was amazed at is that they were so relieved. It was the first time anyone would ever talk to them about it. They call it the elephant in the room. And I heard the saddest stories I've ever heard. There are many things to have a sad story about, but nothing as relentlessly as sad as every day that you go outside, you see people horrified about you. They'd never see your beauty inside. And I was sure that Kathy, that is this woman's name, is somehow connected to that. So can we, by any chance, now lower the lights to see greater detail?
La.
We'll have to look. No, go ahead. We're going to have to look at a few introductory views. This man in black is the doctor who's been with me 41 years, probably my closest friend. Luigi is a flautist of Peru. And you get the privilege of seeing my younger son here. Isn't he beautiful? Son. This woman's name is Kathy. I spent 45 minutes with her. When I don't know the language of the country, which is most of the time, I always learn, friend, thank you, and I love you. So this whole visit, I am telling her, te quiero. I'm doing a clown neurological exam. It might be important for you to know that I never know what I'm doing. I'm just not afraid to be there. I never ask permission. I never have a goal of smiling or laughing. I have a goal of presence. When I say that clowning is a trick to get love close, it's really hard to do this to a person in a park if you're in a suit. I wish the lights were a little darker because you're missing the detail. If you could see the detail, you would see that Kathy has not yet made any facial expression. Kathy has cerebral palsy. Thank you.
Yes, take it. Take it.
Please notice that it doesn't take any skill to do anything I'm doing. Kathy has a neurological problem, cerebral palsy, and here she was drooling and embarrassed and interrupted her fun. And I said, don't worry about it, and she still, and took her right arm away, but she still lifted her left arm. And I said, drool on me, because drool is good for cottons. Always saying te quiero, always caressing, the kinds of things that we were doing in the workshop this morning.
Oh, like this, like this, like this.
Hola, dígale. Hola.
This is a lot darker than I ever imagined. So you actually see that Kathy is a lovely young lady. I think just wishing somebody would pay attention to her. Okay, I think that's enough. This next scene is from Cuba. I love to go to Cuba because it's against the law for U.S. citizens to go to Cuba. And I've been there many times, always under the wing of the National Children's Theater. And the director of the National Children's Theater, a couple of visits ago, came to me and said, Patch, the most important person in my life, my grandmother, is dying at home. She has cancer. It's all over her body. And she's in horrible pain all of the time. And morphine does not work. Would I please make a house call? Duh. It was really easy to make a house call. I was thrilled to go. An exciting and fun thing about this house call is that present was my brother, John, the doctor that I showed in the other film, and the camera person was my son, the one who just had a baby, who studied filmmaking in Chile. So all four of us were in this house. 4 generations lived in this small house, and we were there for an hour and a half. I'm just going to show you the beginning. By the end, everybody was up dancing like crazy. The hour and a half that we were there, the grandmother never showed any sign of pain. And she died several months after these pictures were taken. Okay.
Dos, tres, cuatro, cinco amigos.
A esta altura. No me digas lo que hemos quedado.
Baby. My baby. My baby, my baby, my Should we sing You Are My Sunshine? Or is she still blissed out?
Oh, come on,
in the cars. This could be a doctor, you're not.
This is called Moco therapy.
It's a moco.
Moco, moco. That's moco.
Moco mama! Moco mama! Oh, the moco! Moco mama! Oh my God! That moco! Get your moco working! Heart attack! I'm a doctor!
That's amazing.
There we go! No problem! No problem!
Mucha emoción.
Very excited.
Okay, I'd like to show one more. Maybe the slides. But let me first tell the story. This February, I was in Ecuador. We had to do an annual trip to Ecuador. And I was in their biggest pediatric hospital in Quito. And I asked them who is suffering the most. And they led me into the room of a 5-year-old girl named Valeska. 2 months before, she had been raped. For 20 years, I've been very active in trying to stop child sexual slavery. 20 to 50 million men every day. And why was she in the hospital? It's because ever since her rape, for 2 months, she never once opened her mouth. Her mother never saw her open her mouth to cry, to laugh, to speak. And she also wasn't eating. So she was starving to death. And she had an NG tube, but it wasn't working. And there was at the point to where the next day they were going to operate on her belly to make a window into her stomach so they could feed her that way. So I'm a man, so I'm a little cautious in feeling that there's anything I can do for you, this young girl. And I put her in my lap, and as I looked at her, I saw the saddest child I ever saw. I've seen a lot of sad children, but her face had no life in it. The hour that I was there, I never saw her once have any light in her eyes or any expression on her mouth. And it was like she was screaming, "Why did you do this to me?" Nothing, I don't know what the doctors did. I don't know what the staff did for 2 months and not getting her to eat. I was so struck by her sadness that really in the first 20 minutes all I did was hold her like this. I put my chicken on her head, and still no life, I have a huge amount of experience, and there was nothing that I could do that would change this horror on her face. And I didn't really clown. I just held her. And in the next 20 minutes, she did let me hold her hands, if you want to see the next slide. And at least in my experience, I didn't sense that anything she was doing was playing. She didn't act like she wanted to leave me. And again, I had nothing to compare where she was on previous calls, but I, in my experience, felt that this child was frozen in the horror of her rape. And in the last 20 minutes, I lay on the floor and she lay on my chest and fell asleep. We can see the slide. And so I actually didn't think anything happened. I was so struck by her, it was like I could not take my eyes off her. And I didn't see that over on the side, it was like the whole staff of the hospital was looking on and observing what was happening. And in their mind, something happened so much that they canceled the operation the next day. I honestly don't know why. And I was so struck by her that I let the trip go on the next day and do what it did, and I went back to her and spent another hour with her. Same like this. I didn't, as much as I wanted to see that there was one little sense of life in her eyes or her mouth or in the sense of play, and it's almost never happened with me. And I was present again for an hour, and I didn't see anything happen. And I went home the next day. Fortunately, the woman you saw in the first slide was the Minister of Health of the country. And she promised that she would keep me in touch with Valeska. And so 2 days later, she was running up to people in the hospital. And a week later, she was home, playing, going to school, and eating. And I'm very happy to say that several months ago, they sent me a picture of her. I think this last slide. And here she is smiling. And you understand, I don't recognize her. I don't recognize the face because this isn't the face I saw. It's a face of light in the eyes and I actually can't say that I know what I did. And maybe if I had to label it, I loved her. I told her te quiero, but we didn't play ever in those 2 hours. I was present. Okay, that's enough, and we can have the lights again in here. I want to tell you several strategies, and I know many of you were not here last night, so I'm going to tell you some strategies that I spoke of last night and maybe mention a few more. When I myself at 18 decided to never have another bad day and to live happy all of the time, I have now for 51 years. And I want to say one strategy, and I say it poetically, that I dove into the ocean of gratitude and never found the shore. The metaphor of the ocean, I'm sure you know that if you're in an ocean and you are not swimming, you sink, you die. And that is what I mean by an ocean of gratitude, that it isn't that you love something, check. It's that you are never daring to consciously let go of anything that you love, that you are aware and grateful for it. I estimate I'm grateful for 10 billion things, and I am ready to list them. It would take a long time. And I feel that they are a giant embrace of life and love on me. And if I focus on that gratitude, it really has made my life easy. That was before I started to go to war and starvation and the horrors. And if you have trouble finding gratitude, come with me to the horror, and you will be grateful you are not there. Okay, so be grateful. That is a strategy. Wake up grateful, live through the day grateful, go to bed thanking that you made it. And at 69, every time in the morning, just waking up, you go, I made it. Woo! The options suck. Another important strategy for me, and I mentioned it last night, and it has to do with thinking that one of the options in life is to fully make yourself, that you are a composition, you are a design, that you decide who you will be, and that you, the Buddhists call it mindfulness, that you are present, deciding who you're going to be. I use 3 words: intention, performance, and consequences. In this case, I will be loving. I will be loving. I'm not saying I could be loving. I'll try to be loving. I should be loving. Meh. I will be loving, no exit. And you're wondering, no one can do something all the time, but you're doing things all the time every day of your life. For example, when you go to a conference, you say, I'm not going naked. Right? Everybody here is dressed. We knew you would be dressed 100% of the time. Unless, of course, it's at a nudist colony. You're in the street and cars are zooming by here. Zoom, zoom, zoom. You know that for 100% of your life you have said, I'm not crossing the street until it's safe. And how do I know? You're here. You didn't step in front of the truck. You're present. If you particularly watched, there wasn't really action with V.O.S.E, but the other 2 experiences on the film, I'm doing just that. I am doing something. I'm noticing the consequences of the performance. And if I like the consequences, I can continue. If I don't, I instantly change the performance. Because the intention is to be loving. And that you can decide that from the moment you wake up. You wake up with your partner, you look them in the eye, and electrify them with how happy you are you wake up with them. And that you live that intention through the day, and that your job, since the intention is who you are, your job is to be present and choose which performance in that moment might put your intention forward. A lot of love strategies, some of the ones that are most asked for me are romance love strategies, because there are so few of them that last. And so I'm going to give you a couple. One thing that I recommend is that if you love somebody, unless you're ethically against what it is your partner wants, do everything they want. Duh. You love them. Hear what they want and do it, unless you're ethically against it. What the hell are you with them otherwise? Another thing that we don't get, because we have no classes on loving, we learn by mistakes in how to choose a partner, and we're very different people, and an unhealthy choice is a nightmare. Okay, whoops. 5 plus M. So that means a little more than 5 minutes? Okay, then I'm going to stop there and see if there are any questions. Okay? You can challenge me in any way, ask any questions. I'm sorry, I don't have much time. This hasn't been an inquiring country. If last night and this after.
We love you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Oh, you wanted the next recommendation. Okay, that's safe. Okay. Choosing a partner. Okay. I promise you this is important. Know what you have to have a healthy relationship. It doesn't have to be on anyone else's list. I've had 2 long relationships, a 26-year marriage to a wonderful person, but not the right person. I didn't have a clue how to choose. And I've had a 23-year relationship with, for me, the perfect person for me. What do you have to be really thankful you are with this person? And for me, I can tell you what I had to have. My ex-wife was from a Scandinavian family, and she grew up in a family that didn't communicate and wasn't affectionate. And not surprising, this is kind of who she was. And she told me, and I was innocent when I got with her because I didn't have a lot of dating. I thought that you love somebody and you accept them for who they are. And that is right if you've matched. Because when we got together, she said, I process by myself. What that means is that she doesn't discuss with me anything, she works it out with herself. Okay, it's a style, particularly a male style. In my 4-hour interviews, most women say, he doesn't talk to me, he's not affectionate after the honeymoon period. And those are 2 things I have to have. I grew up with a really affectionate mother. I need to give a lot of affection. I want to receive a lot of affection. And so I need to be with a person that doesn't do it for me, it's who they are. I'm not trying to talk them into doing that. So those are 2 things I need. I need really straight talking. So I'm with a woman now that if the first second she has something she needs to say, she says it. What a relief. Wow. My ex-wife, I grew a little beard under my lip. And I had it for years. I heard at a party she didn't like it. I cut it off that night. I don't care about it. So those are 2 things I like. I like a lot of affection giving and receiving, and I like real open, right away, straight communication. Okay, another thing I need somebody crazy. Both Susan and I, when we were young, were crazy people, and we're just happy to be crazy now. My ex-wife was not crazy. She was a fabulous person. And there's something about the edge of crazy that is good for Susan and myself. Another thing I need is I need a committed activist, not just in the youth, because Linda was committed to activism in her youth. But I need to live the life of an activist with an activist. I need an artist. I need to be an artist and to have my partner be an artist. Not necessarily the kind of artist I am, but that they live in the world of artistic creation. And these are basically things I need. And I know that were something to happen to Susan, I'm a person who wants a partner. That's also a good idea, that you decide you're a person who wants a partner. I want a partner. I thrive in it, especially now that I've been spoiled. And so that answers that question, is make your list, short list, okay? And whatever you don't need, relax, okay? So if Susan wanted, when I came home, to put one shoe on the refrigerator and one under the bed, I'm going to do it every time. She wants it, and I don't have a reason not to do it, and I love her. Duh. Okay, one more question probably. Do you all need practice in inquiring? Thank you. Saved my life. This gentleman over here.
Yeah, thank you. With all your experience worldwide and all the different occasions.
Okay, microphone, thank you, and translation.
No, I just wanted to ask to finish on a perhaps lighter note. With all your vast experience worldwide, all the people you've met, all the initiatives you've seen, how many other similar initiatives that have an impact on different continents and different languages, how many other similar people like yourself, or initiatives, or groups, or communities have you gotten to know? And how has the development of that been over this period? Do you see it as an incremental, or is there a lull, or how do you see that?
Well, let's say right off, most mothers could be studied for the magnificent job they're doing. Okay, so my greatest body of inspiration has been the astounding job mothers do, no matter how badly behaved men are. Astounding. Also, as one studies the media, and we heard a lot about the media, I think, from David this morning, and I'm really hostile to the media. If 5 companies own 70% of the world's media, basically, if they take away your mind, then they can just fill it full of a bunch of crap. So it doesn't serve. If you'll notice, a newspaper, say the Washington Post, that I know the most, there's the front section, international murders and horrible things people are doing. Then there's the local news, which is local news of murders and irritating and horrible things that are happening. The sports page, multimillionaires playing with their balls. And this is a way to keep control of the population. The last thing they need is for you to be exposed to how many astounding projects there are. I soaked up yours, David, today. I see you know some I don't know. And I'll bet you love it when you meet one. You know, there are so many. I mean, Italy, if you haven't been to Damanhur, have you been to, Damanhur? Then that's my gift. Damanhur, okay, northern Italy, over there in Portugal, Tamara. What an experimental place that is. You know Tamara. I can see that smile on your face. So if you look at the Fellowship of Intentional Communities. There's a book this thick on intentional communities in the U.S., this thick for intentional communities in the European community, this thick for Australia, etc. So there are huge numbers of intentional communities. There are, green projects. And I don't think we can even begin to count them. So I'm going to say a minimum of 100 million great workers. And I'm probably understating it. And we're hidden from them. We'd rather know what Justin Bieber is doing. And, who? I'm there, but I know that it usually gets a laugh in U.S. audiences. So, there are huge numbers. Most women. Every problem in history is due to men. What we need is to feminize the world. That's a simple way of saying it. And so, if you hear of a story of a single mother raising 3 children, you've just read the story of a miracle worker. Every single mother that isn't destroyed is doing a job that I think 85% of men have no idea how to do. Some men do. And that it's important to recognize, I think, the people that you might not know of as heroes. Okay, half the world lives on $2 a day. How the hell are they having a family? So they study them. What's interesting, when you go to the starkest poverty of the world, I notice the kids are healthier than U.S. children. What's going on here, I'm asking myself. But we work in the poorest of the poor in this project we have to stop child sexual slavery in the Amazon, and they have nothing. They have nothing, and the kids are happier. What is their trick? So, and I think a lot of this, it's not like this is a new era for that. I'll be honest, in this last year, I've had the most concern with where we're going. It's so embarrassing. There's not a government on the planet I respect that the crap. I haven't watched a TV show in 35 years, but since I travel, I'm forced to see it in bars and in the airports. So they're shoving in the airport. I just came from Milan and Rome, and the airports there, 3-story high pictures of seductive women trying to sell a perfume. What is that really? Lordy, I would be so embarrassed if I were that woman, that this giant picture of me is there to show my brassiere. La la. So I want you to know that if you look, and there are magazines, if I knew websites, I would tell you. But there is stuff going on. There's a huge, so if you need inspiration, almost any kind that you need is happening. There are miracle workers. I go to orphanages where I can't believe, by the way, I've been in over 2,000 and never one male worker. And to see the skills that a worker has to take care of 16 disabled children by herself, to feed, to change their diapers, children that never leave the crib because of their physical disabilities, miracle. And so it's there. It's there that people are still writing important things. In the arts, you see it. That a huge amount of artists that are not trying to get a government grant to kiss butt to the government to do a pablum art, and that they're doing it on their own and scaring their parents because the parents wonder how they're going to support themselves. You know, we just had a really large march in New York City for global warming. It's about time. So, before we invaded Iraq, we had the largest global anti-war gesture. So it's rumbling. And join the club. And if you're there, if you're nice, okay? What am I really saying? Be nice every day to everybody. And you're a raging activist. So, I'd like us to give a big thanks to our interpreters. And a big thanks to the Techno team. Without them, I don't know anything. I'd like to thank this very strange new friend. Let's go do revolution. Thank you very much.
You.
Well done, well done.
Hola. Bueno. Sí, yo tengo. Okay. Satish Kumar.
Thank you, thank you. I think we have to say patch Adam continuum. Since you have been sitting here for nearly an hour and a half, how about for a minute standing up and stretching ourselves? Take your arms up, stretch, 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 stretch. Ah! Stretch, stretch, stretch. And look to your right, look to your left, and go a bit backwards. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Ah, very good, very good, very good. To your left, to your right, to your left, to your right. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Okay, please sit down. Now, the subject this weekend is love. What else do you want? Just subject this weekend is love. Love heals. Love liberates. If you are in bondage, if you have any problem, if you have a headache, you have physical problem, mental problem, marriage problem, you have any question, the solution is love. The answer is love. Guillaume was telling me that in Spain you have 130,000 laws. If you go in the library of a lawyer, the shelves are full of law books. I have an advice to all the government leaders. I have an advice to all the barristers and lawyers. I have an advice to all the members of parliament in Brussels, in Madrid, in Paris, in London, in New Delhi, in Washington. I will allow you to burn some books. And they are called books of law. Only you need one law, and that law of love. If you love, you don't need any other laws. Now, Patch Adams had a long list of love. He loves the world, he loves nature, he loves his beautiful wife. I would like to add one more to that list. And actually, Patch Adams does have that, but he forgot. Maybe he thought it was not enough time. You do, because I have heard you before, so I know you. Patch was at Schumacher College, and Patch was with me at Festival of Wellbeing in Australia, and we are going to be again today. He is my dear friend. But one item that you forgot, maybe you didn't have enough time, is love yourself. I love myself. Do you love yourself? That's it. That's the first step. When Jesus Christ said, love thy neighbor, then what did he say? As thyself. As thyself. If you don't know how to love yourself, how are you going to know how to love someone else? And even you yourself cannot love yourself. Why do you expect me to love you? You are the first person to love yourself. Now, some people might say that loving yourself is selfish. No, it is not selfish. Because Jesus Christ said, to love thy neighbor as thyself. Loving yourself is to accept yourself as you are. What is love? What is the definition of love? What is the meaning of love? The meaning of love is very simple. Accepting yourself and accepting the other as you are and as the other is. No ifs, no buts, no conditions. If you love that lemon, as Neruda did, you love it as it is. You don't say, dear lemon, I would love you if you did not have those nipple on your body. Or I would love you if you had a little bit of sweetness in your juice. You don't put any conditions. No ifs, no buts. Accepting yourself as you are. And accepting the other as the other is. That is called unconditional love. That is actually you need to put the word unconditional. Love cannot be conditional. Love cannot be conditional. And so love is to accept. Now, often we don't accept ourselves as we are. We want to be somebody else. We want to be successful more than we are. We want to be wealthier, richer. And actually, to be truly rich, you have to recognize you are very rich. My friend Guillaume took me to the beautiful beach, and somebody was selling something, some watches or some sunglasses. And Guillaume said, I'm afraid I'm very rich, but I don't have any money. You can be very rich, and yet you don't have money. And so, but we think that we are not rich. We don't accept ourselves as we are, and we want to be more rich, maybe richer than my neighbor. We don't accept ourselves who we are. Either I want to be a bit taller, I want to be a bit shorter, I want to be a thinner, I want to be a larger, I want something other than what I am. And that is where our problems begin. Accept yourself unconditionally, without ifs and buts, as you are, who you are, and you will realize that you are wonderful. You are an amazing piece of work. You are a work of art. There will be no dance if you were not there. There will be no Neruda and poetry if he was not there. There was no Picasso if he was not there. There was no Mother Teresa if she was not there. All the art and all the attributes come because you are there. And therefore, if you want to love yourself, be who you are. And have self-realization. Self-realization is the path of liberation. So I say, love liberates, and love heals. So the path of self-realization is to be who you are, and you will find that you are a divine self. You are an artist. You are a poet. You are a musician. You are a dancer. You are a teacher. What better vocation one can have than to be a teacher? Aren't you lucky? Aren't you lucky? We are very fortunate to have that position, to be a teacher. Just be a teacher. If you are a teacher, if that is your vocation, be a teacher. And when you go to the classroom every morning, say, what a wonderful, great gift that I have today, that I am going to be with 20 children, 15 children, or 30 children in the classroom, and I have a great day. Don't think about your salary. Teaching is not a profession. Teaching is not a job. Teaching is not an employment. Teaching is a livelihood. Teaching is a vocation. When I go to Schumacher College, I enjoy every moment of it. I will go there if I have to pay for it. I get paid, but I will pay for it. Then you are a teacher. You love to be a teacher. Then you be a teacher, and you will be a great teacher. If you are not accepting yourself as you are, who you are, a teacher, a cook, a mother, what a beautiful praise that Patch Adams gave to the mothers. Motherhood is such an underrated, undervalued, undermined, overlooked vocation. To be a mother. Be a mother. It is a great gift to be a mother. The earth is a mother. God is a mother, mother goddess. And in India, I come from Indian philosophy and background. In India, there is no God without goddess. And a Krishna would not be Krishna without Radha and 100 gopis. Patch talked about romantic love. Romantic love is our religion. Sex is sacred. The orgasmic experience is divine experience. All the tantric sexual Kama Sutra in India are religious books. The Parvati is sitting in the lap of Shiva, and he's talking to Parvati about Tantra, tantric love. When you are in orgasmic experience, that's the divine experience. You are in the state of ecstasy. There is no greater experience than the experience of being in that ecstatic state, one with God. If you can stay in that state longer and longer and longer, prolong it. Our Hindu religion is not a puritanical religion. There is no God without goddess and his consort. And before we take the name of God, the name of goddess comes before. We always say Radha Krishna, never Krishna Radha. Radha Krishna. Sita Rama. Sita comes first. Gauri Shankar. Gauri and then Shiva. Lakshmi Narayan. Lakshmi first, then Narayan. We don't have one God. There are many, many gods. And all gods, the first name is woman, the consort, the feminine. And therefore, being who we are, our true selves, you are a great being. Each and every one of us have that wonderful potential to be joyful, happy, blissful, divine. But you will ask me, how can I be? How can I be loving? How can I be trusting? The first step, the very, very first step, is to close your eyes and say to yourself, I can love. Say to yourself, I'm capable of loving. There's nothing I need from anybody else. I don't need a book. I don't need to go to school. I don't need to listen to Satish Kumar or Patch Adams or David Orr or Guillaume. I have capacity within me, inbuilt. Love is intrinsic to me. It's not extrinsic. It doesn't come from outside. An apple tree is inside the seed. It's not outside. You don't have to put the tree inside the seed. The tree is already in the seed, intrinsic to it. You don't need Monsanto to tell the seed to become an apple tree. You don't need a scientist or a forester or a gardener or a farmer or an orchard keeper to tell the seed how to be an apple tree. Seed knows it. Intrinsic. You know it. Each and every one of us know it. That we have capacity to love. So first step is to say, I can love. I'm capable of loving. I'm capable of trusting. Trusting myself and trusting the others. Then the second step is, I am capable, I can love, I will love. I will do it. Since I can, why not? Why not? I can and I will. And then third step is, I am doing it. I am loving every moment. I'm loving teaching. I'm loving gardening. I'm loving cooking. I'm loving climbing the tree. I'm loving whatever I'm doing. I'm loving the painting, loving the music, loving the cleaning the toilets, loving doing the dishes. When I started the small school, I said to children, before we teach you about Darwin, and Newton and Galileo and Shakespeare and Picasso and all the great teachers and all the great books. I want you to learn to do the dishes and loving them. I want you to learn to cook the lunch and share lunch with your fellow students and teachers joyfully. And when you can learn how to cook and how to dishes lovingly, then love Shakespeare. You will love Darwin and Newton and Galileo and holistic science of Krishnamurti and David Bohm. You will love. Love of knowledge. Love of learning. That will come with every... There is no work in our life. There is no work in our day which is any less significant than any other. I love going to toilet. Don't you? Before I came to speak here, I said to Guillaume, I'm going out. I love going toilet. There is no insignificant job in life. Now, Patch talked about romantic love. Patch has been in marriage with his beloved for 23 years. I have been in marriage with my beloved for 42 years. And every day I fall in love. Every day I fall in love. I say, wow, June, you are still here. In spite of all my warts and all, in spite of all my shortcomings, in spite of all my going away and not taking care of you and not doing this and not doing that, I'm so bad. And yet you are still here. Ah, I'm so grateful to you. I can love my beloved June. And I do love. Every morning, June and I decided that we will have 1 hour every day when we are together at home. In the morning, we'll have a cup of tea and read something beautiful. No domestic talk. Nothing about shopping. Nothing about cooking. Nothing about guests. Nothing about repairs of the house. Nothing. Just we will have 1 hour, which is our spiritual time together. It's a loving time together. Every morning, have a cup of tea. Sometimes I make a cup of tea. Sometimes June makes a cup of tea. Whoever wakes up. 7 to 8. No telephone. No email. Just read something beautiful. Something from the Buddha. Or something from St. Francis. Or something from Neruda. Something poetic. Something beautiful. And talk about it. Our life together. We can do it. We can do it. And if you love only the person you like, that's not really love. You can love the person suspending your likes and dislikes. You neither like nor dislike, but you love. And not only somebody who loves you, you love. That's second best. That's okay. But you can love without expecting that other person will love you. Whether they love you or not is their business. It's not your business. It's not my business. I love you as you are. Whoever you are. Whatever your response to me, I love you. When in that state of high consciousness, and this is nothing impossible, nothing, you don't need a PhD to have this consciousness. You don't need to go to University of Harvard or Cambridge or Oxford or Madrid. Or maybe there is one university in Palma. You don't have to go to university. It's intrinsic to you. This higher consciousness has been given to us on the very day of our conception. And I'm a love child. And all of you are love children. my father and my mother fell in love, embraced each other, kissed each other, hugged each other, slept together, made love, I was born. I was born. I'm a love child. And each and every one of you are love children. And when the moment I came out, the universe loved me so much that it put beautiful, delicious, white, pure, organic, uncontaminated milk in the breast of my mother. What a love of the universe. Universe loves me. I know Mallorca loves me, but also universe loves me. Put the milk in the breast of my mother. And my mother loved me. When I peed in the bed, she will sleep on the wet, and she will put me on the dry side of the bed. That's a hero. You talked about mothers being a hero. She was a heroic mother. And I'm sure all mothers are same. They are heroic. And so this universe loves you. Why aren't you loving it back? Please tell me. You say, I will love you only if you love me. But the universe loves you, and yet we are short, falling short. So this is where we need a bit of courage. Love is not a path of faint-hearted. Love is not a path of cowards. Love is a path of a pilgrim. I don't like the word heroes, Patch, because heroes have a kind of macho feeling to it. And heroes, a few people can be heroes. I like a pilgrim. I'm a pilgrim of love. And a path of love is a pilgrimage for me. But to tread on that path, you need courage. You need to suspend your fear and trust. Trust. Love begets love. Love will be reciprocated even if you do not expect it, desire it, want it. Actually, when you desire it, want it, expect it, it runs away. But when you don't desire it, don't expect it, it reciprocates. Love begets love. Love brings love. This is the principle of reciprocity upon which the entire universe is built. Reciprocity. Nothing happens without reciprocity. Everything is reciprocated. You are reciprocating with your tremendous love to me at this moment that I can speak to you. We are reciprocating even at this moment. And I did a journey of love. I called it walking for peace. I love walking. I love walking. I walked 8,000 miles for 2.5 years without a penny, although I was rich, but without a penny in my pocket, but love in my heart. And why did I go around the world for 2.5 years without a penny? Because my teacher, who was a great teacher of love, Vinoba Bhave, great teacher of love, follower of Gandhi, he said to me that you are going to talk about peace in the world. Peace is not something to talk about. Peace does not happen by talking. Peace happens by being peace. And how do you be peace? If you have money in your pocket, you walk, you come to a village, you eat in a restaurant, you sleep in a B&B, guest house, and you walk away. Go without a penny, without a cent, or euro, or rupee, Indian rupee, without anything in your pocket. That was the key to love. And I said, all right, you are my guru. And you know, in India, the relationship with guru and the follower, disciple, is a very beautiful, very delicate, very profound, and very trusting. You know the Guru is so wise that he is saying something you may not understand immediately, but there is a deep and profound meaning behind it. So I said, Guru, you are saying it, I will do it. With my friend, two of us left all the money behind and walked from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi in New Delhi. And we walked, and in India it was easier. We walked to the border of India and Pakistan. But when we arrived at the Pakistan border, my very dear friend, together with many other friends and colleagues and family members, they came to say goodbye. And one of my very dear friend, she was called Kranti. Kranti means revolution. That was her name. Kranti. She came and said, Satish, aren't you crazy? You are going to Pakistan without money, without food. Pakistan is our enemy country. We had 3 wars between India and Pakistan. And you have no food, no money, and you are walking. What about your security? That's a fear. Fear and love cannot sit together. Like dark and night and the sun cannot live together. Dark and light cannot live together. Fear and love cannot live together. Love is letting go of fear. That was Gerald Jampolsky, who wrote a book. Love is letting go of fear. So my friend was full of fear. And she came with packets of food. I said, at least you take some food with you, because how will you survive? And I looked at the packets of food. And I said to my friend, these packets of food are not packets of food. They are packets of fear. Packets of mistrust. What am I going to say to Pakistani hosts? That I did not trust you, whether you will feed me or not. So I have brought my own food all the way from India. No, thank you. She was in tears. I said, why are you crying, my friend? Give me your blessings. Give me your hug. I want your blessing. She said, Satish, I'm crying because I don't know if I will ever see you again. You are going to these Muslim countries, Christian countries, communist countries, capitalist countries, mountains, deserts, snow, rain, thousands and thousands of miles. You have never been to those countries. You have no money, no food, walking. I don't know if you will survive and come back alive. I said to my dear friend, I said, give me your hug. At least before I die, you have hugged me. And if I die while walking for peace and for trust and for love of humanity and the earth, that is the best kind of death that I can have. You cannot love your life and fear death. Death is not something to be afraid. I realized at that moment, death is not really opposite of life. Birth and death are part of life. So I welcome death. Whenever it comes, please come. Door is open. It's you are keeping away from me. I'm not worried about you. So I said, if I die, no problem. I have no fear of death. Give me your hug. Give me your blessing. And she said, but what about food? I said, my dear friend, if I don't get sometimes food to eat, I'll say, what a great opportunity to fast. I'll fast. Fasting is joyful. Many Christian saints fasted for 40 days. I don't know if I will have chance to fast for 40 days. You don't die for fasting few days. Fasting is good for me. Give me a hug. Say, what about shelter? What about shelter? If you have no money, you can't go in a guest house. If somebody doesn't offer you home to sleep, I said, my dear friend, I'll sleep under the stars. And I will call it a 1,000,000-star hotel. Who cares for 5-star hotel? Give me your hug. She relented. She gave me a hug. And I went into Pakistan. And I passed the passport control, passed the custom control. And as I come out, first few steps onto the soil of Pakistan, somebody is asking me, are you Mr. Kumar, Mr. Menon, the two Indians who are coming to Pakistan for peace, for love, for trust, for friendship? I was so amazed. I knew nobody in Pakistan, not a single person. I had written to nobody. And here's a man, my enemy country, a Muslim, Pakistani, says, are you the peacemakers? I'm for peace. And this war between India and Pakistan is total nonsense. Please come and be my guest. Come to my home, meet my friends. All such things. You cannot believe my amazement. I was absolutely thrown. 5 minutes before, my friend was saying that you are going to a Muslim country and enemy country, and 5 minutes later, here is a man saying, please welcome to Pakistan. Miracles can happen. This was a miracle. If you don't believe in miracle, go without money around the world walking. You will meet many miracles. And at that moment I said, that was my love statement. Statement of love and peace. Statement of friendship. And I said that if I come here as an Indian, I meet a Pakistani. If I come here as a Hindu, I meet a Muslim. But if I come here as a human being, I meet a human being. So from today, what is my true identity? Being an Indian, Hindu, Muslim, communist, capitalist, all these labels that we put on ourselves, they are all secondary. They are all given, artificial, not natural. The true identity is I'm a member of human family, an earth community. The birds in the sky are my brothers and sisters. Even the snake, Patch said he loves the insects. They are my family members. How can I not love them? They are my family members. Even the snakes, people are afraid of snakes. They are my family members. The deer, the lion, the tiger, the elephant, the grass, the earthworms. As I reminded Patch, Darwin researched on earthworms. And that was much more interesting research than his theory of evolution. Long live the earthworms. Without them, there will be no food on our table. All your beautiful, delicious meal that we had at lunchtime, that will not be there if there were no earthworms under the soil working day and night. Do you ever pay them any wages? Have they ever gone on strike? They are our true friends working under the soil. This is why in my book, Soil, Soul, Society, I praise the earthworms. Without earthworms, soil will be hard. They keep it fertile and friable. And so, my friends, I walked through Pakistan, through Afghanistan, through Iran, and Azerbaijan, and Armenia, and Georgia, and went to Moscow. No penny, no money. No languages. Learned language on the way. I went to Belarusia, Poland, Germany, Belgium, France, UK. And even I got somebody to help me. It was Bertrand Russell who helped me to cross the Atlantic in a boat, Queen Mary. And from New York to Washington, I walked and finished my journey at the grave of John F. Kennedy. From the grave of Mahatma Gandhi to the grave of John F. Kennedy. To say that if you believe in the gun, a gun does not kill only a bad guy. A gun can also and does also kill a Gandhi, a Kennedy, a Lincoln, a Martin Luther King. At that time, Martin Luther King was alive, of course. And I had a great privilege of meeting Martin Luther King. I wrote to him. I had heard about his great speech. I have a dream. Only a loving person has dreams. And if you don't have love in your heart, you have nightmares. So he had dreams. So I wrote to him and said, we have walked for peace. And we want to meet you and have your blessings. And he wrote back, like you, Patch, he also answered his letters. In those days, there were no emails. And we received his letter, and we went to see him in Atlanta, Georgia. And a big picture of Mahatma Gandhi on the wall behind his desk. And he said to me, the love is a way of life. I do not hate the white people. I'm not fighting against the white people. I am fighting against the racialism and racial discrimination. White people are my friends, full of love. All great, as Patch mentioned, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, all great activists act because of love, of right values and right way of life. And so I have experienced in difficult situations, in problems, during those journeys, 2.5 years of journey, I faced bullet point twice. I would have been killed and Kranti would have been right that I may not ever see you. I could have been killed. Twice I faced bullet. And once in the United States of America, after meeting Martin Luther King, because I was not a white man and I was in a whites-only restaurant. And I was thrown out of that restaurant at gunpoint. And so I went through difficulties. But Patch, your long list is a wonderful list. I love problems. I love difficulties. Because if you love life, life is not all smoothie, straightforward. Life is not such a business. Life is full of excitement. And excitement does not come if everything is going smooth, straight, without any problem, without any difficulty, without any challenges. That's not life. If you want life without challenges, without difficulties, without problems, better to go in a coffin. So you have to learn to love yourself with warts and all. Even when you are ill, even when you have some shortcoming, doesn't matter who you are a divine self. Love yourself. And when you love yourself, you love your husband, your wife, your children, your parents, your neighbors, your trees, and earthworms. Because you don't have to even think that you love. You will not be self-conscious about loving. It will be so natural, like a radiator radiates. Radiator doesn't know that it is warm, but it warms everybody else. This light doesn't know that it is lit. It's unself-conscious. It's only we know that this light is lit. The sun doesn't know that I'm dispelling the darkness. If you ask the sun, oh, thank you for dispelling the darkness, I say, what is the darkness? I don't know. I've never seen it. So you will never know that self-consciously, the idea of love is so natural to you. If you just be yourself who you are, as you are, accept yourself, you are wonderful. All of us have come on this planet Earth as a great gift. As a great, great gift. We are needed. You have come here for a purpose. You have come here for a meaning. You have come here to serve. You have come here to love. What's the purpose of your coming here? You have not come here to become a CEO of a company or a manager of a bank or earn 10 or 20 or 50,000 euros. That's not the purpose of our lives. We have come here to love. That's the only single purpose of life that I know. I have come here to love. And therefore, I am happy. You will not be happy because you are a manager or director or president or prime minister or CEO or president or chairman or editor or writer or famous celebrity. That will not make you happy. What makes me happy, when I'm most happy, is why I'm in love. Why I'm always happy in Mallorca? Because I love Mallorca. Why I'm always happy to be a guest of my friend Graham? I love Graham. I love coming here, and I love you. So I come year after year. It's my 10th year. I've been coming here for 10 years because of love, nothing else. Nothing brings me here. Your love to me is the magnet, true magnet, which brings me here. And so the subject this weekend is love, and there can be no other subject. There's no other subject in the world. The word love is the seed of everything. The whole universe comes out of this word, love. This is why all great religions, Jesus Christ, the Buddha, Muhammad, Mahatma Gandhi, Lao Tzu, Taoism, Shintoism, Judaism, Jainism, Sikhism, all religions, all great teachers, all great poets. Their poetry is all about love. Love of nature, love of man, woman, romantic love, natural love. They're all love. We make a differentiation between romantic love and agape and other loves. All differentiations are all intellectual. The real, there is no differentiation. Everything is just nothing else but love. Therefore, I love you, my friends. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you. 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 Thank you.